In this presentation, I'm going to go through some quick tips to help you close better in person and make your presentation shine just a little bit more. So stay tuned. The first and most important thing about selling in person is that you are organized, because everything that you're doing when you're sitting down in front of the customer is going to be scrutinized. If you show up and your tablet doesn't have the right tabs open on it, your desktop's a mess on your laptop, stuff's screwed up with your pitch book or your materials, it's all right there for the client to see, and it forms a nasty first impression. And because of that, it's important that you show up organized. To be organized is pretty straightforward. If you have websites that you're going to use, preload them in tabs so that all you have to do is refresh them. Make sure that the Wi-Fi works at the place that you're going to present in. Make sure that you have a connection on your phone, before you start the presentation. Go through any technical stuff prior to starting with the client. If you show up at the location and you're going to have a presentation, make sure that you delay the client a little bit. Just tell them, hey, we're going to get started in 5 or 10 minutes. Let me just get my stuff together. And then take that time to go through all this stuff, just to make sure that you're organized and that you come off clean and polished when it comes to presenting to your prospect. The next most important thing is being confident. It's incredibly crucial that when you're presenting in front of somebody, you don't come off as somebody who doesn't believe in their own product or service. In order for you to be confident, I think that the most important thing is really to have technical mastery of your subject. I think confidence comes from experience. Confidence also derives itself from knowledge. If you've presented a lot in the past, you're going to be more confident than if you haven't. You're also going to be more confident if you understand the service that you're selling and how it should be applied. Also, you're going to be more confident if you understand the problems that your prospect has in the then and now when it comes to the service that they're missing at their company, or the website that's bad, or the bad search results they're getting, or whatever it may be. Whatever your service is, understand it. So take the time to do your homework and build your confidence on a solid foundation. Another thing that's really crucial is maintaining control. A lot of times you see sales presentations get derailed when the prospect that's supposed to be listening and going along with the presentation starts to jump in and gain control of the whole process and starts to tell you about your own product or service. You can't let this happen. If you're going to close somebody, you have to maintain control, and that comes from maintaining authority, which ultimately comes from a combination of things. It comes from your charisma and your personality. It also comes from having knowledge that the prospect doesn't have. The worst thing you can see, the worst kind of sales presentation you can give, is to sell a technical person, somebody who knows more about your product or service than you do, because they can, frankly, just overpower you with knowledge. They're going to know more than you do. So this, again, goes back to having knowledge and having researched your subject and being an expert at your craft, so that when you go into the sales presentation, you maintain control. It's also crucial that you do things like maintain eye contact, maintain the conversation, and pace yourself. But we're going to go over that in just a moment. It's also important in the sales process to listen attentively and pay close attention to your prospects' reactions. Something that good salespeople know and bad salespeople don't is that when you're giving a presentation and you're going over things and you're talking about things with your prospects, watch their body language. Watch how they're reacting to what you're saying. If you are talking about a given feature or benefit or problem or solution or whatever it is, and you see the body language start to tense up and start to get negative, start to get closed, that's a sign that they are not responding well to what you're saying. If you see them start to kind of relax and you start seeing the heads go like this, they're silently nodding along with what you're saying, you know you have their attention, you know they're listening to you. Also, pay attention to things that your prospects might say during your presentation, because a lot of salespeople, get so wrapped up in what they're saying themselves, they don't listen to their prospects and they don't listen to what they're saying. They can be telling you that they don't need that product or don't need that service, or all kinds of different things. Vital information comes out during a sales presentation. Always make sure that you're listening attentively, you're paying enough attention that you're going to be effective. It's very important in the sales process to stay focused. When you're presenting to people, a lot of times you're going to hear them tell you jokes, or they're going to bring up off-topic stuff. It's just natural that people are people, and they're going to start talking, and they're going to go in different directions. Building rapport is a big part of the sales process. That's undeniable, but it's important to keep a professional barrier up during that sales process so that you don't get a derailed demo because of that transpiring. Make sure that you stay focused. You are there with a job to do, and that job is to close this person on this service. So don't let making a friend become a bigger priority than getting a sale. Something that's really crucial about giving a presentation, any presentation, is to pace yourself. Go at a speed that's even and go at a speed that matches the listening speed and the comprehension speed of your audience. If you blast through a presentation that's designed to take an hour in 20 minutes, the odds are your audience didn't hear or didn't comprehend what you were saying. At the same token, if you go so slow your audience is falling asleep, that's not good either, because they're going to want to rush out of there at the end. You have to get pacing down. It's an art form, but you want to pace yourself to go at a speed where your audience is going to be interested in what you're saying and still willing to sit there at the end and let you sell them. It's important that you maintain a professional aplomb the entire time that you're in the sales arena with your prospects, really the entire time you're talking with your prospect, period. A lot of times in sales, doesn't matter what you're selling, your prospects will tell vulgar jokes, they'll say vulgar things, they'll use obscenities, etc. It's important that you as a salesperson do not do this. You should always be up here, okay? Keep yourself at a high level. Keep yourself professional when dealing with people. In business, when you're in the sales arena, this is crucial. Never lower yourself down to telling vulgar jokes and getting down with your prospects, so to speak, okay? You need to keep it all professional, keep it all above board. Even if you're making friends with your prospect, which is fine, make sure that you're not the one telling vulgar jokes or using obscenities or things like that. If you get crass and vulgar, they lose respect for you. Even if they like you more, they're losing respect for you and probably won't buy from you at the end of the day. One of the things that salespeople make a mistake of is not repeating themselves. I know that sometimes repeating yourself can become repetitive, right? It's never fun to have to repeat yourself in a sales process, but a lot of times you have to repeat important points multiple times. And it's important to note how to do this. There's kind of an art form to repetition, all right, in the sales process. If you're telling somebody an important point and, you say things one way, you can say the same thing another way, right? Like you can tell somebody this costs $500. You can say it again as this costs less than that, and point at another thing. Like if I'm selling you a website, this costs less than your stove. This is only $500. This costs less than a new picture window. You have to repeat things, but repeat them in a way that you're phrasing the same thing in new ways, but you're saying the same thing. And this is to get your point across not only strongly and indelibly in the mind of the prospect, but it's also to say things in a way that your prospects can hear, right? A lot of people hear different things. You can repeat things numerically to people, and some people think in terms of analytics, and other people think in terms of physical objects, for example, visually, right? So you have to phrase things multiple ways to get your point across clearly to different types of prospect. Something else that's crucial at the end of your sales process, right? When you're going into the close, right? You have to close multiple times. You have to really fight for that close. Big mistake salespeople make is hearing one no and walking away when they really should go and fight for that sale. If you go into the close with the mindset that I'm going to pitch them, I'm going to try to close them once, they're going to say yes or they're going to say no, and I'm going to walk away either way. That's wrong. Something like, I think it was statistically analyzed, it's like it takes 5 no's to get 1 yes statistically. What this means is there's a lot of salespeople who are really not taking no for an answer, and there's a lot of salespeople taking no for an answer first time with people who probably would have bought. So when you get into the closing arena, attempt at least 3 or 4 or 5 closes before you walk away, before you call it a dead deal and you realize you can't sell them. I'm telling you, it may sound like it's something that you can't do, but it will statistically drive up your closing ratios tremendously if you do this. The absolute end of your sales process, after you've closed somebody, always plan ahead. Always, always, always go through a checklist of what's going to happen next with your prospect. Explain to them the next steps. Explain to them how support works. Explain to them when implementation is going to happen, what it's going to look like. Go through that process with your prospects who are now your clients. Walk through the next steps and what's going to happen. The worst thing you could possibly do is work so hard, give a great presentation, close somebody, only to have them cancel because you didn't explain the next steps clearly and you got them upset because they thought something was going to happen that wasn't. If you like this presentation, please feel free to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next vid.